Buongiorno a tutti. Oggi vogliamo dare voce a Hayley, una ragazza inglese concepita grazie a donazione di seme e allo stesso tempo mamma, insieme a sua moglie, di due gemelli concepiti a loro volta con l'aiuto di un donatore. Quando e come hai scoperto di essere stata concepita grazie a donazione di seme?
Hi, my name is Hayley. I'm a donor conceived person from the UK. I was conceived in the early 80s, but sadly I didn't know until I was nearly 33 years old. I found out in a family argument with my parents that I was donor conceived. So yeah, I didn't find out till I was sort of well into my 30s. When the secret was out, all that my parents could tell me was that the sperm donor that they had used through the fertility clinic was anonymous and that there was no records kept. So, like I say, back in 2015 I found that information out.
La tua vita è cambiata dopo aver scoperto di essere stata concepita grazie a donatore?
When I found out I was donor conceived as an adult, it was a complete and utter shock. I think I actually just didn't know what to do with the information for a number of years, and it completely changed how I perceived myself as an individual. I felt as though my childhood narrative had completely altered from what I thought it was. And yeah, it was nothing short but life-changing to find that out so late in life. I initially found myself very angry at my parents for keeping the secret for so long, and I was angry for the way the truth came out, because it came out in an argument and not in a reassuring or loving way. It came out, like I say, in a dispute. So yeah, I had a lot of anger and upset originally, and then I suppose I've gone through different emotions as the years have gone on, finally through to sort of acceptance. But a lot of my anger was at the fact that the fact that I was donor conceived was kept from me for so long.
Quali erano le tue maggiori paure o implicazioni quando con tua moglie avete deciso di ricorrere alla donazione di seme per ampliare la vostra famiglia?
For those of you listening that don't know, as well as being donor conceived, I'm actually the non-genetic mum to our twins, who are actually four, with my wife. We're in a same-sex relationship, and we used a sperm donor to start our family. So when we were looking to start a family of our own, we obviously knew that we would use a donor, or would need a donor. So one of the huge things to consider, and important for me and my wife, was that we used a donor whereby the identity would be released to our children at 18. So they're referred to as open ID donors. We were very much against anonymous sperm donation. And basically we wanted our children to have the information available to them should they want it. And obviously that was information that I didn't have and I wasn't afforded being donor conceived.
Quale consiglio daresti ai genitori di figli concepiti grazie a donazione di gameti?
My main advice to parents, if you're listening, is to just be completely open and honest with your children about how they were conceived. If you've used a donor, whether that's a donor sperm or donor egg, the main thing I believe is that you're open and honest about that conception story. They grow up knowing their story and embracing it, and making sure that there's no shame about being donor conceived, because a lot of the times secrets are kept, and sadly secrets breed shame. And I think it's important, having lived that life, to make sure that any children born from donor conception don't feel ashamed about how they came into this world. So that would be my first bit of advice. My second bit of advice is to just listen to your children, and there may be bumps in the road in terms of, if they know they're donor conceived, they may have some negative feelings about that. And it's not to dismiss those feelings. I think it's really important as parents, we maybe put our own insecurities aside and listen to our children, and just make sure that they know that they've been heard, and to validate those feelings, like I say, and not dismiss them, and just encourage open communication between parents and children moving forward, because donor conception can be a really difficult topic, but I think the difficulties can be overcome with openness, and just being willing to communicate with each other.
Grazie di cuore Hayley per averci reso partecipi del tuo vissuto.